Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about the first chapter in second PUC, that is reproduction in organisms. So at the beginning I will give you some of the very important points related to the NEET as well as the given in NCERT syllabus. So let me discuss one by one. So as we all know, Earth is the only planet which consists of life, and we know the reason for the existence of life on Earth, mainly the presence of oxygen as well as the presence of water. So these are the basic requirement. Mainly the water is a basic requirement, because without water there is no life. That's why water is called as liquid of life. And in the first PUC we have studied about some of the very important properties of the living organisms. The living organisms are characterized by the first very important property, that is called as growth. Increase in the size, increase in the volume, or increase in the number of cells of organismal body, which is associated with the increase in the dry weight, is called as growth. So the growth is mainly because of the cell division and is called as internal growth. The second property of the living organism, that is reproduction. So that's what we are discussing in this particular chapter. And the third property is metabolism, the sum total of biochemical reactions. So definitely the cell is required for the occurrence of metabolism or the biochemical reactions. And the last one is the consciousness, nothing but response to the stimuli. So these are the four important properties, and here we are discussing about one of the very important property, that is about reproduction. Let's start the chapter. So first, what is reproduction and why it occurs in the living organism? See, reproduction ensures its continuity. Continuity means the continuation of the life. So the reproduction process is responsible for the continuation of the life, and it is the most important characteristic feature of living organism. As I told earlier, the four important properties in that reproduction is one of the living property. But it is not considered as a defining property, and we know the reason for that. Defining property means that should found in all the living organism without any exception, and that should found only in the living organism. Of course, reproduction is found only in the living organism, but it is not found in all the living organism. There are some exceptional cases. For example, mule that will not reproduce throughout its lifetime. That's why reproduction is considered as living property, but it is not considered as defining property. See, reproduction mechanism, the mode of reproduction, it is specific to the organism. There are different types of mode of reproduction, and the mode of reproduction and the method of reproduction is unique to the species, that is specific to the organism. So the mode of reproduction or the method of reproduction, that depends on various factors, mainly based on the organism's habitat, that is the place of living, and internal physiology, the internal body structure, as well as the structure of reproductive system, mainly the structure of reproductive system and its complexity. So these are the major factors that determines the mode of reproduction found in the living organism. And as we all know, the reproduction takes place only in the living organism. So that's why it is considered as the biological process. And it is just like the excretion or digestion or the various types of physiological activity that occurs in the living organismal body. So that's why it is considered as a physiological process. Physiology means the study of body functioning. Respiration is a physiological process. Digestion is a physiological process. Circulation is a physiological process. In the same way, reproduction is also a physiological process. So that's why reproduction is a biological process and is a physiological process. So what is the definition of the term reproduction? So reproduction is the process. It is a process, biological process, physiological process, in which the parental organism or organisms, see, either organism or organisms, it indicates the involvement of parental individuals. Sometime during the reproduction there may be the involvement of single parental individual, or there may be the involvement of two parental individuals of opposite sex, and they produces new individual or individuals. Again, the number of individuals produced at the time of reproduction, that varies. The parental individual, the parental organism may give birth to single offspring, or it may give birth to many number of individuals. So the number of individuals in the offspring varies, and that is specific to the species or the organism. So reproduction is a biological process, it is a physiological process in which the parental organism or organisms produces new individual or individuals of its own kind. So what is this? Of its own kind. Of its own kind means they are similar to their parents. Morphologically they are similar to their parents. Sometimes even genetically similar. So that depends on the type of reproduction. So normally the newly produced individuals during the reproduction, the newly produced individuals produced during the time of reproduction, they are similar to their parents. So morphologically similar to their parents, physiologically similar to their parents. And what is the purpose of reproduction? That is to continue the race. To continue the race, that is nothing but the first point. It ensures the continuity. That means the reproduction is responsible for the continuation of the life. The continuation of life is because of reproduction. So this is the definition of the term reproduction. Now, related to the living organisms, their life, there is a term called as lifespan. So what is meant by lifespan? As we all know, all the living organisms, they will survive for a specific period of time. So each organism has a specific duration of life. So that is nothing but the lifespan. Then what is the definition of lifespan? So it is a period from birth to natural death of an organism. Birth to natural death. So of course the birth occurs naturally, but the death may be accidental also. So if the birth occurs, that is because of the senescence, the birth occurs because of age factor, then it is called as natural birth. So the time period or the period from birth to natural death of an organism is called as lifespan. And this lifespan, it varies from few days to number of years. As I told earlier, the lifespan is specific to the organism. It may vary from few days to few years, a number of years. And one more very important thing, the lifespan is not necessarily be related with the size of the organism. There is no correlation between the size of the organism and its lifespan. There is no relationship between the size of the organism and its lifespan. For example, say the example of parrot as well as the crow is given. There is no much difference in their body size, the crow as well as the parrot. But the lifespan of a crow is for about 15 years. But the lifespan of parrot is around 140 years. As well as there is no much difference in the canopy or the body size of the mango tree as well as the peepal tree. Their lifespan shows great variation. The peepal tree, the banyan tree, it can survive up to more than 2000 years. So there is no relationship between the size of the organism as well as its lifespan. See, with respect to the lifespan, we can categorize into three types. The first one is a maximum lifespan. So this is not given in the textbook. So this is the point which is related to the NEET examination. So the first category, that is a maximum lifespan. So what is meant by maximum lifespan? It is the maximum number of years survived. It is the maximum number of years survived, or the greatest age reached by any species. The greatest age reached by any number of species is called as maximum lifespan. The second category, that is average lifespan. So what is meant by average lifespan? See, it refers to the average number of years survived by the organisms. It refers to the average number of years survived or the age reached by the members of a population. So it is related to all the members of a particular population. So that is called as average lifespan. And the third category of lifespan, that is called as life expectancy. So what is meant by life expectancy? It is the age at which half the population still survives. This is the age at which half the population still survives. So these are the three important categories of lifespan. But among these, maximum lifespan is a characteristic feature of a species and life expectancy is a characteristic of a population. So this is a very important point. Maximum lifespan is a characteristic feature of a species, individual, and the life expectancy is a characteristic of a population. So this is regarding the lifespan. Now some examples are given. The lifespan of some selected plants as well as selected animals are given. So first one, the rose plant. Say the rose plant, being the vigorous and sturdy, live for 100 years or more. The reason is, the new rose plant is produced by the help of a stem cutting. So it is a kind of vegetative propagation. The stem cutting is used for the production of a new plant. So when the stem cutting is used to raise a new plant, it says that it is nothing but the continuation of the same individual as a new individual. A part of the parental plant is developing as a new individual. So that's why that plant can survive for many number of years. So because of that, the rose plants being vigorous and sturdy live for 100 years or more. But the individual plant may be killed when subjected to the harsh conditions like freezing weather or the fungal diseases or the insects, or because of human beings, the grazing animals, that they may kill the rose plant. But average lifespan or the lifespan of the rose plant is more than 100 years. The next example is a banana plant. The banana flowers only once in its lifetime, monocarpic plants. After producing the flowers, after the development of fruits, the plant will die. So its lifespan is between 2 to 3 years. And although the shoot carrying the flower dies after fruiting, suckers arise from the root that carry on the plant's life. So the base of the stem, a new plant will develop, that is called as sucker or rhizome, and that will develop as a new individual, and it is a kind of a vegetative propagation. The next one is the rice plant. As we all know, the lifespan of rice plant is very shorter. So the lifespan of rice plant is around 3 to 7 months. And the lifespan of banyan tree, one of the plant with the highest lifespan that can survive more than 2000 years, approximately 2000 years. So this is a lifespan of banyan tree. Now some examples from animals. In that first one, elephant. So it is not given in the textbook. They asked the lifespan of elephant. See, the lifespan of elephant is around 50 to 70 years. But in Asian elephant, the lifespan may increase up to, or it may be around 60 years. So depending on the breed, the lifespan of animals varies. And the next example is dog. The lifespan of dog is around 12 to 22 years and also depend on the type of breed. The next one is the butterfly. Most commonly the butterfly, the lifespan of butterfly is a few days to 1 to 2 weeks. And it also depend on the breed. For example, the migrating monarch butterfly can live up to 12 months. So it varies from variety to variety, or the species to species, and it varies from breed to breed in case of animals. The lifespan of cow is around 15 years. The lifespan of cow is 22 years. Crow is 15 years. And the lifespan of parrot is 140 years. The lifespan of crocodile is around 60 years. And the horse 40 years. And the fruit flies, most commonly 9 days. But in Drosophila melanogaster, the fruit fly which is grown in the laboratories, so the lifespan is around 30 days at 29 degrees Celsius. So under controlled condition it may live for many number of days. So that is for about 30 days. And the lifespan of tortoise is 100 to 150 years. So these are some of the examples for the lifespan of different organisms. Now let us see the type of organisms based on their reproduction, that is depending on the mode of reproduction or the time of reproduction. See, there are two important terms. In that first one is called a similparous organism. It is mainly representing the capacity of living organisms to reproduce. So similparous organisms are nothing but the organisms which reproduces only once in their lifetime. Once they produces a new individual offspring, they will die. So the organisms which reproduce only once in their lifetime are called as simulparous organisms. For example, in plants, all the grain crops, after producing the grains, they will die. So even the salmon fish is an example for the simulparous organism. And the bamboo plants, monocarpic plants, they produce only flowers only once in their lifetime, and after producing the flower, after flowering, they will die. Even the spiders are also example for simulparous organisms, and they die shortly after reproduction. So that is another characteristic feature. The next type of organisms based on their reproduction, that is heteroparous organisms. So what are heteroparous organisms? Nothing but the organisms which produce offsprings in successive cycles. So during their reproductive phase, especially the sexually reproducing organisms are capable of reproduction only at the time of reproductive age, reproductive phase. So the organisms which are found in the reproductive phase, they can reproduce irrespective of the season, or they throughout the lifetime, or that means at the time of reproductive phase, they are capable of producing new individuals. So the organisms which produce offsprings in successive cycles, for example the annual plants as well as the seasonal breeders, so these are called as heteroparous organisms. And most commonly the perennial plants are the example for heteroparous organisms, as well as the most of the animals are examples for heteroparous organisms. See here, example, annual or seasonal means once in a year some organisms will reproduce, or some organisms will reproduce in a particular season, so that is annual or seasonal. Next, such organisms, that means heteroparous organisms, survive over a multiple seasons or periodic condition changes. So these are the very important features about the two types of organisms. Now let us study the types of reproduction. As we all know, there are two major types of reproduction. One is called as asexual reproduction, and another one is sexual reproduction. So let us discuss about the asexual mode of reproduction at the beginning. What is meant by asexual reproduction? So this is the uniparental type of reproduction. So means only one parental individual is involved in the production of an offspring. So this is called as uniparental type of reproduction. The next property, the asexual mode of reproduction occurs in both unicellular and multicellular organisms. It is commonly found in unicellular organism. Even in the multicellular organism, certain type of asexual mode of reproduction are found. So in case of asexual mode of reproduction, the new individuals develop directly from the specialized or unspecialized parts of a single parent. In most of the cases, specialized structures, the modified structures are developed. So they are involved in the asexual mode of reproduction. Sometimes it may be unspecialized part also. Normally in case of asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of gametes, or there is no involvement of sex cells. Fusion of gametes or sex cells is not involved. There is no fusion of gametes, there is no involvement of sex cells. See, the asexual reproduction is also called as agamogenesis, means without the reproduction without the production of gametes. That's why it is called as agamogenesis, or it is also called as agamogony. It is also called as agamogony. So agamogenesis or agamogony is nothing but asexual mode of reproduction. So in case of asexual reproduction, the somatic cells undergo mitotic division. So this is very important. The somatic cell undergo mitotic division during the formation of new gametes. So during the asexual reproduction, the various types of cell division takes place, but the major type of cell division that occurs at the time of formation of new individual is the mitotic division. The somatic cells undergo mitotic division during the formation of new individuals. So that's why it is also called as somatogenic reproduction. Since the somatic cells are involved, since the somatic cells undergoes mitotic division during the reproduction, that is the asexual mode of reproduction, it is also called as, this type of reproduction is also called as somatogenic reproduction. The next important point, the clones are produced during the asexual mode of reproduction. Then what are clones? What are clones? See, the clones are nothing but the offsprings produced by this method of reproduction which are genetically similar. They are genetically similar. So the individuals which are produced during the reproduction, if they are genetically similar to their parents, such offspring or individuals of such offspring are called as clones. And each individual of a clone is referred to as ramette. So ramette is nothing but each individual of a clone. So just remember, clones are genetically similar individuals of the offspring which are genetically similar to their parents, not themselves. Say the individuals produced in the new generation or in the new offspring are genetically similar to their parents, then only they are called as clones. So this is regarding the introduction to asexual reproduction. Now let us study the different types of asexual reproduction. There are various types of asexual mode of reproduction. Some very important examples are given here. The first example is binary fission, the most common type of asexual reproduction found in the lower organism. So what is mean by binary fission? See, the body of a mature individual organism divides into two or more similar and equal sized daughter individuals. It's called as binary fission. Actually, fission, that is a division, is a mode of reproduction, cell division. The basic type of cell division, primitive type of cell division. So fission, it includes different types. One is binary fission. So binary fission is nothing but the process in which the body of a mature individual divides into two or more similar or equal sized daughter individuals. So that is called as fission, and the fission can be binary fission or the multiple fission. Now what is mean by binary fission? So it is the division of the body of the individual into two equal halves. So this is very important. So during this type of fission, two equal sized individuals or the cells are produced, each of which functions as an individual daughter organism or independent daughter individual. So that is the binary fission, the definition of binary fission. See, in a unicellular organism, binary fission is accompanied by mitotic division of the nucleus followed by cytokinesis. First, the division of nucleus takes place. It is also called as endomitosis. So the nuclear division takes place by mitosis and is followed by the cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is the division of the nucleus. In case of metazoans, the higher organisms, the multicellular individual divides into two daughters, two individuals, by a sort of construction or cleavage. See, the body of this organism is made up of many number of cells. So multicellular organism. In this case, instead of the simple cell division, there is a formation of a construction or the cleavage in the body. So that leads to the formation of two pieces, or that leads to the formation of two daughter individuals. So this is called as binary fission in higher organisms. The organisms which undergo binary fission rarely die of senescence. See, I repeat, the organisms which undergo binary fission rarely die of senescence. They will not die because of old age, because as soon as they mature, they divide into two daughters. So before the death, due to the senescence, so instead of dying before death, before entering into the senescent phase, they will enter into the process of reproduction. So they will divide, they will undergo binary fission so that new individuals are formed. So that's why the organisms which reproduces by binary fission or by the very simplest type of reproduction, particularly in the unicellular organisms, they are called as immortal. The reason is, before their death, they will enter into the reproduction process by the binary fission process, so that new individuals are formed. So that's why they rarely die of senescence. So that's why they are called as immortal. Now, the type of binary fission. So in binary fission, again we can classify it into different types. So based on the plane of division, we can classify the binary fission into different types. In that, the first one is simple binary fission. The simple binary fission is also called as irregular binary fission. It is also called as irregular binary fission. So what is this simple binary fission or irregular binary fission? So in this case, the division can occur through any plane. There is no specific plane for the division or binary fission. The division can occur through any plane. Example, amoeba. So this is the simple binary fission or the irregular binary fission. Amoeba is the example for this. See, here you can see the diagram of amoeba, the parental cell. So that consists nucleus. So this is an example for the eukaryotic unicellular organism. And you know, all the unicellular eukaryotic organisms are placed under kingdom Protista. So this is the member of kingdom Protista. Amoeba is an example for unicellular eukaryotic organism. So this is the parental cell. So now what happens at the time of binary fission? First, there will be change in the shape of the body or organismal cell. Slowly there is a division of nucleus. You can see the dividing nucleus here. So first the nuclear division takes place, karyokinesis takes place. So the division of nucleus takes place. This is the endomitosis, and now the divided nuclei, they will get separated. Already the nuclei are separated, and you can see between the nuclei there is a formation of constriction. So the inward movement of the membrane takes place, and finally that leads to the separation of two cells, so that the daughter cells are formed, and these daughter cells develop as new individuals. So this is the simple binary fission or the irregular binary fission found in the organism like amoeba. The next one is longitudinal binary fission. So what is meant by longitudinal binary fission? What are the important features of longitudinal binary fission? So longitudinal binary fission means the plane of division passes along the longitudinal axis of animal or organism. The plane of division passes along the longitudinal axis of the animal or organism. Organism is better because in all the animals this process does not occur. Example is Euglena. Euglena is a member of Protista, and you know the members of Protista are considered as the primitive relatives of animals. That's why it is mentioned as animal here. So Euglena is a very unique type of organism, that is a mixotrophic organism that shows both the plant characters as well as animal characters. That's why they are placed under the kingdom Protista. So in case of Euglena as well as in Verticilla, the binary fission is the most common type of reproduction, and this is specifically known as longitudinal binary fission. See, this is the diagrammatic representation of longitudinal binary fission found in Euglena. So here you can see the diagrammatic representation, the first diagram A, that represent the parental cell. Slowly there is a division of nucleus. You can see the division of nucleus in the next diagrammatic representations. So in the diagram D, you can see the division of nucleus. Clearly the division of nucleus is shown, and in the diagram E, the division of cytoplasm also takes place, so that two daughter cells are formed, and after the detachment, so the separation, each daughter cell will develop as new individual. The next example is Verticilla. So this is a photograph of Verticilla, the longitudinal binary fission in Verticilla. So this is observed under the microscope. So this is a photograph which is observed under the microscope. Now the next type of binary fission found in some organism, that is oblique binary fission. Oblique binary fission is nothing but the binary fission in which the plane of division or the fission lies at an angle to the transverse axis. It lies at an angle to the transverse axis, and it is commonly found in the organisms like Serratium as well as the Gonialex. Gonialex is the example for dinoflagellates. So Serratium as well as Gonialex are the example for the organism that reproduces by oblique binary fission. And this is the photograph of Serratium. It reproduces by oblique binary fission mechanism. And this is the photograph of Gonialex, an example for the dinoflagellates. Now let us study the next type of binary fission, that is the transverse binary fission. So what is mean by transverse binary fission? Here the plane of binary fission runs along the transverse axis of the individual. So till now we studied about the different types of binary fission. Here the very important one, transverse. The plane of binary fission runs along the transverse axis of the individual. The best example for the transverse binary fission is found in the organisms such as paramecium as well as the diatoms and in some bacteria. So the photograph of paramecium is shown here. So before that, so in paramecium, the transverse binary fission is preceded by the amitotic division of the meganucleus and mitotic division of micronucleus. In it, binary fission produces two dissimilar daughters. One is called as proter or anterior, and the other is called as opis or posterior. So both develop the deficient components and become similar. So this is the diagrammatic representation of transverse binary fission found in the paramecium. You can see the plane of division, the transverse plane, the transverse axis of the individual, so that new individuals are formed. And this is the close photograph of the same organism, that is a paramecium. The transverse binary fission is found like this. Now the next type of binary fission, that is called as a multiple fission. So what is mean by multiple fission? In this case, the nucleus divides several times by amitosis to produce many nuclei without involving any cytokinesis. So at the beginning there is no cytokinesis, only the amitosis takes place, only the division of nuclei takes place. Later, each nucleus gathers a small amount of cytoplasm around it, and the mother individual splits into many tiny daughter cells. Example for this multiple fission is amoeba. So that is also example for this irregular binary fission. Even that is an example for the multiple fission. And even the plasmodium is one more example, and the monocystis is another example that shows multiple fission. So this is the photograph or the diagrammatic representation of multiple fission found in amoeba. So you can see the different stages of multiple fission. Finally, a large number of individuals are produced or released out by the rupturing of scissorant wall. So this is regarding the multiple fission found in amoeba. And this is the another photograph that shows multiple fission. The next one is encystation and sporulation. So this is another kind of asexual reproduction found in some organisms. So what is meant by encystation and sporulation, where it is found? So in case of amoeba, in response to unfavorable living conditions, they will withdraw their pseudopodia. Pseudopodia is a false feet. So that is responsible for the locomotion as well as for the capturing of prey. So in response to unfavorable conditions, so that is very important, unfavorable condition, an amoeba withdraws its pseudopodia and secrete a three-layered wall around it. And that structure is called as cyst. So the cyst is a form, and this phenomenon is called as encystation. That is called as encystation. During favorable condition, when the favorable condition returns, the encysted amoeba divides by multiple fission. Just now I told about the multiple fission. Internally the division of a nucleus takes place, followed by the cytokinesis. So the amoeba divides by multiple fission and produces many minute amoebae, and they are also called as pseudopodiospores. So minute amoebae or a large number of pseudopodiospores are formed. When the cyst wall bursts out, especially at the time of a favorable condition, the spores will come out. The spores are liberated into the surrounding medium to grow up into many amoebae. A large number of amoeba are produced by this method, and this process, this phenomenon is called as sporation. This is commonly found in amoeba, and it is also found in other organisms such as monocystis as well as plasmodium, etc. Now let us see the photograph that shows the encystation as well as sporulation in amoeba. See, in the first diagram, the development of 3-layered cyst wall is shown. So within which the organism will be there that consists the nucleus, and the cytoplasm is also found in the cells. And now slowly there is a amitosis, or the division of the nucleus, and is followed by the cytokinesis, and that leads to the formation of large number of amoebae. And they are also called as pseudopodiospores. So this occurs at the time of favorable condition. The cyst formation takes place during the unfavorable condition. When the 3-layered wall of the cyst ruptures after the completion of pseudopodiospore formation, after the rupturing of the wall of the cyst, the pseudopodiospores will come out, and each pseudopodiospore or amoebae that will develop as new individuals. So young amoebae are formed. So this is the diagrammatic representation of encystation and sporulation. The next very important type of asexual reproduction found in the lower organisms, that is spore production. See, there are different types of spore formation. In that, first one is called as zoospores formation. So what are these zoospores? Where these are produced? See, zoospores are the flagellated motile asexual spores. These are the flagellated, they consist of flagella, elongated hair-like structure that mainly helps for the locomotion. So flagellated motile asexual spores are called as zoospores. So most commonly these zoospores are produced by some of the fungi as well as algae. These are produced by some fungi as well as algae, and only the Myxomycetes, especially in fungi, only the Myxomycetes as well as Oomycetes and Chytridiomycetes produces zoospores. And in case of algae, particularly the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae as well as the Xanthophyceae produces zoospores. The best example for zoospore producing algae, that is Chlamydomonas. So this is the photograph of zoospores produced by the algae. The next one is, so this is a photograph which is observed under the microscope. This is the zoospores which are observed under the microscope. Now another type of spores produced by certain organisms, that is called as conidia or conidiospores. So these conidia are produced in the structure, spore producing structure called as conidiophore. A conidium or conidia is plural, conidium is singular. The econidium, sometimes termed as an asexual chlamydospore, or chlamydoconidium, it is also called as chlamydoconidium, is an asexual non-motile spore of a fungus. It is most commonly produced by the fungus, and we know the example for the conidia producing fungus, that is Aspergillus and Penicillium. So Aspergillus as well as Penicillium produces conidia or the conidiospores on conidia producing structure called as conidiophore. So this is a photograph of conidia which is produced by the organisms, and the conidia are asexual spores. On releasing to the suitable substratum, they will develop as new individuals. So this is the photograph of Penicillium. The previous one is of Aspergillus. So this is a photograph of Penicillium under the microscope. So they produces exogenous spores called as conidia. See, in case of budding, the new individuals are formed by the mitotic cell division. The new individual is formed by mitosis. Initially a small outgrowth is formed. That outgrowth formed on the parental body, that is called as a bud, and that will develop into a miniature individual. It is then separated from the parental body or the mother plant or the mother body. The detached bud that will develop as an individual. So after the separation from the parental body, the bud will develop as a new individual. So this type of budding is specifically known as exogenous budding. That is particularly known as exogenous budding. The example for exogenous budding is yeast as well as hydra. In both yeast as well as hydra, the exogenous bud is formed, and after detachment, after separation from the parental body, each bud will develop as new individual. So here there is a diagrammatic representation of budding found in yeast. So this is a parental cell of yeast. So now you can see the formation of an external growth. So this external growth that is formed at one side of the parental body, that is called as a bud. So at the same time there is a division of the nucleus also. Here you can see the separated nuclei, the nuclei or the nucleus after the division. One nucleus will move towards the external growth. And now in the next step, the external growth or the bud that will start to detach from the parental body cell, so that they will separate from the parental body, and that new individual is arising from that bud or separated bud. So this is a budding found in yeast. The next one is a budding in hydra. So in case of hydra, say this is the photograph of hydra. At the time of budding, an external growth is formed. The exogenous bud is formed like this, and after detachment, this bud will develop as new individual. So this is a very common type of reproduction found in lower organisms. The next type of budding, sometimes the buds do not get separated from the mother individual, and instead of developing a new individual separately, they will form a colony. So this is not found in all the organism. In some organism this mechanism is found. So here the colony consists of a number of individuals, or they are called as zooids, that perform different functions. The example for this type of budding is obelia. So this is the photograph of obelia. So in case of obelia, you can see the colony of individuals within the bud forming structure. Now the next type of budding, that is endogenous type of budding found in some organisms. So in some organisms, the parent individual releases a specialized mass of cells enclosed in a common opaque or covering structure that is called as gemule. So it is known as endogenous budding. It is commonly found in the organisms like sponges. So on germination, each gemule give rise to an offspring, and the archaeocytes present in it give rise to various cells of the body of a sponge as they are totipotent. So each cell is totipotent, that will develop as an individual. So gemules are considered as internal buds. So the production is endogenous. So example is the freshwater sponges like spongula, as well as some marine sponges such as cycon. And this is the photograph of gemule, the formation of gemules in the organisms like sponges. And here you can see the gemma cup as well as the gemule formation in the organisms like sponges, spongilla. The next type of asexual mode of reproduction found in some organism, that is fragmentation. So what is mean by fragmentation? So in this type, the body of the parent breaks into distinct pieces, and each piece, each fragment will develop as an individual. So very simple type of reproduction found in the lower organisms. So they have many viable parts that can live or that can live independently, all found on one individual. For example, hydra as well as the sea star or the starfish are the example for the organisms that reproduces by fragmentation. So this is the photograph of Hydra. Here you can see the fragmentation of the body of the Hydra into 3 pieces, and each fragment, each piece will develop as an individual at the end. And the another photograph of starfish. Actually it is made up of 5 arms. Here you can see the 3 arms, the remaining arms will form in the later stage. So this is regarding the fragmentation. The next type of asexual reproduction found in again lower organism, that is regeneration. So in case of regeneration, there are specialized cells which can differentiate and grow into new organisms. So in these organisms, when the cell divides into numerous pieces, each piece proliferates and differentiate to regenerate new organism. So the lost parts are reformed, regenerated. So there is almost a similarity between the fragmentation as well as the regeneration. So example for the organism that reproduces by regeneration, once again Hydra. The best example is planaria. See, the photograph of regeneration found in planaria is given here. See, the one organismal body is divided into many pieces, and each piece that will develop the lost part by the process called as regeneration. So these are the different type of asexual mode of reproduction found in the lower. Okay, now we are going to study about the vegetative propagation. What is mean by vegetative propagation? The asexual reproduction found in higher plants, particularly the angiosperms, is known as vegetative propagation. So it is just like the asexual reproduction that occurs in the lower plants, but in case of higher plants, particularly in angiosperms, the asexual reproduction is specifically known as vegetative propagation. So during this process, the genetically identical new plants are formed from vegetative parts of the parental plant. Vegetative part means actually the plant part can be classified into 2 types, vegetative parts as well as sexual parts. So in case of angiosperms, flower is the sexual part, and stem, root, leaves, these are the vegetative parts. So in this case what happens, the vegetative parts of the plant body produces a new individual, and during this the genetically identical new plants are formed from the vegetative parts of the parental plant. And such vegetative parts which are involved in the production of new individuals are called as vegetative propagules. And these vegetative propagules can be classified into or categorized into natural and artificial methods. So mainly the natural methods of vegetative propagation are described here in detail, and artificial methods mainly includes grafting. You know, the grafting process, 2 different plants are joined together to produce a new variety. So this is regarding the vegetative propagation and propagules. Let us see the different types of vegetative propagation. Mainly the first one, natural vegetative propagation by roots. See, again the roots are of 2 types. One is the taproot branches, another one is adventitious roots. So here the taproot branches can develop adventitious buds and form new plants. So this is one type of vegetative propagation by the roots. An example for this is carrot. You know, the carrot root is a modified root responsible for the storage of food. At the same time, the taproot branches can develop adventitious buds also, and such adventitious buds can develop as new individuals. The best example is carrot. The next one is fleshy adventitious roots. These fleshy adventitious roots develop into new plants, and the best example for this, sweet potato, dahlia as well as asparagus. See here, this is a carrot plant produced from the taproot branches. So the aerial part of the root of carrot produces buds, adventitious buds, and they will develop as a new individual. The next one is a fleshy adventitious roots of sweet potato. So these are the sweet potato modified root, mainly responsible for the storage of food, and these adventitious roots can produce a new plant also. The next one is the fleshy adventitious roots of dahlia. Here you can see the dahlia root can be used as a vegetative propagule. The next one is asparagus, shatavari. the medicinal plant. So here also the fleshy adventitious roots acts as a vegetative propagule. Now the next type of natural vegetative propagation by the stem. The very important type of vegetative propagule, the most commonly used vegetative propagule in most of the plants. So in this they modify variously to give rise to new plants. So normally any part of the plant body, vegetative part of the plant body, it wants to perform some additional function, it has to undergo certain modification. Normally the stem is responsible for providing mechanical support that provides site for the production of branches, leaves, arrangement of flowers, fruits, etc. If it wants to perform some additional function such as modification, storage of food or mechanical support or reproduction, that is a vegetative propagation, it has to undergo certain modification. So they modify variously to give rise to new plants. And again there are different types of stem, modified stem. The first one is underground stem as vegetative propagule. So here again there are different types. In underground stem, various types are there. The first one is a tuber. So here tuber is a modified swollen, it bears buds on eyes or nodes which may grow into new plant when planted. So the example for underground stem, that is a tuber which acts as a vegetative propagule, that is found in the potato plants as well as artichoke plants. The next one is a rhizome. Rhizome is also the modified underground stem. So this is an underground stem bearing buds, nodes and internodes, and these buds give rise to new aerial shoot. And the best example for rhizome which found as a vegetative propagule, that is in banana, ginger plant as well as in the turmeric plants. And the next one is bulbs, the modified stem, that is a modified shoot bearing apical and axillary buds that give rise to new plant, most commonly found in the plants such as onion, garlic as well as narcissus. Now let us see the photographs of different types of modified underground stem involved in the vegetative propagation. First one is before that the corms bear that sprout to form new plants. So corms also consist buds that sprout to form new plants. Example is colocasia as well as crocus. So this is a photograph of potato tuber. You can see the buds. So these are the adventitious buds. So on detachment it will develop as a new individual. It will undergo sprouting that develops as a new individual. The next one is the artichoke. So these are the artichoke modified underground stem which develops into new individuals by the help of buds. The next one is the banana sucker. So this is banana rhizome. So this rhizome also develops as a new individual. The next one, ginger, the rhizome of the ginger, it gave rise to new plant as well as the rhizome of turmeric. So turmeric, curcuma longa. So this also reproduces by the help of rhizome. The next one is the bulb of onion. The next one is bulb of garlic as well as the bulb of narcissus. So these are the three important plants, onion, garlic as well as narcissus, that reproduces by the help of bulbs. And the last one is corms. So these are the corms which are produced by the plants such as colocasia. These corms develop as a new individual. The next one is corm produced by the crocus plant. Now the next type of stem which is acting as a vegetative propagule, that is the subaerial stem. These subaerial stems are also called as creeping stems. These are also called as creeping stems, and these stems creep over the surface of soil. So these are not underground, they will creep over the surface of soil. So the example for subaerial stems or the creeping stems includes, the first one is runner. And runner are the specialized narrow green horizontal branches that develop at the base of roots from where new crowns are found. And most common example for runners include coriander, centella as well as oxalis plants. The next one is stolons. Stolons are horizontal branches that arches above the ground. An example for stolon which acts as a vegetative propagule, that is in the plants such as strawberry as well as vallisneria. Here vallisneria is the hydrophyte, but the rooted hydrophyte which reproduces by the help of stolons. The next one is offset. It is exclusively found in the hydrophytes. So it is one internode long runner found in aquatic plants. So it is similar to the runner, only the difference is runner is found in the terrestrial plants, but offset are found in the hydrophytes. So it is also modified stem. So it is one internode long runner found in the aquatic plants. It breaks into parts and then forms new plants. The best example for the plants which reproduces by offset are Aexual, the water hyacinth or the terror of Bengal, as well as the Pistia plant. The next one is a sucker. So suckers arise from the base of the erect shoot and grow for some time. And these detach from the parental plants and then give rise to new shoot, and most commonly found in the plants such as mint as well as chrysanthemum. So this is the photograph of coriander which reproduces by the help of runner. The next one is the Centella asiatica, Ondelaga or Brahmi. So this is another very important medicinal plant. The next one is Oxalis, the trifoliate plant. So Oxalis also reproduces by the help of runner. The next examples for stolon, in that first one is strawberry. So this is a strawberry plant which reproduces by the help of stolons. The next one is a hydrophyte, that is Vallisneria. So this is a Vallisneria plant which reproduces by the help of vegetative propagule called as stolon. Next one is the offset found in the hydrophytes. The first one is the Aexual. You can see, so this is the modified stem that is called as offset, that reproduces by the help of offset. And next one is the Pistia. So here this is a Pistia. So Pistia also reproduces by the help of offset. Here this particular structure, this is a modified structure called as offset. The next example for the plant that reproduces by the help of sucker, that is mint plant. So this is a mint plant, it reproduces by the help of sucker. And another best example for the plant that reproduces by the help of sucker, that is chrysanthemum. So chrysanthemum also reproduces by the help of sucker. Now let us move to the next type of vegetative propagule, that is the stem. In that aerial shoot, the modified aerial shoot that acts as a vegetative propagule. So the bud bearing segments of some stems may directly give rise to new plants when fall down, and it is commonly found in the plants such as sugarcane, opuntia and cactus. And sugarcane plant, it reproduces by the help of aerial shoot. So the stem cutting is used. And the next one is opuntia. So each modified stem, a leaf like structure, that is not the leaf, that is a modified stem, phylloclade. It is specifically known as phylloclade. It can be removed from that plant body and that can be planted, and which will give rise to new individual. And the next example is cactus, that is another example for xerophyte. So this plant reproduces by the help of aerial shoot. So these are the different types of vegetative propagules where the stem used as a vegetative propagule. So here the next one is vegetative propagation by the help of leaves. So leaves are actually meant for the photosynthetic reaction, the photosynthesis, and sometimes the modified leaves are involved in the vegetative propagation. So leaves with adventitious buds help in vegetative propagation. The example for this, begonia, bryophyllum as well as cynepolia. So here specifically the begonia. In case of begonia, the injured leaves form new plants when they come in contact with the soil. So the injured plant forms injured leaf forms a new plant. So that is a very unique feature found in the plants such as begonia. And in case of bryophyllum, the marginal buds form plantlets. The marginal buds, the buds produced on the margin of the leaves, they will develop as a new individual. So while they are still attached to the parental plant, they develops into a new individual. So here you can see the photograph of begonia, the damaged leaf that give rise to new individuals. So this is a begonia plant. The next one is a bryophyllum. You can see the adventitious buds on the margins of the leaves. The another example is cynepolia. So this also reproduces by the help of leaves. So these are the different examples for vegetative propagules. Vegetative propagation by the help of leaves as a vegetative propagule. Now, The another very important type of vegetative propagule, that is bulbils. So these are very unique because these are the multicellular fleshy floral buds. Actually the flowers are responsible for sexual reproduction. So flowers are produced from their floral bud, modified bud. So there is a floral bud. But here the multicellular fleshy floral buds involved in vegetative propagation. So these are produced in the axils of foliage leaves in place of axillary buds. These grow and form new plants when they shed and fall onto the ground. So instead of growing or instead of developing as a flower or inflorescence, it is directly detached from the plant body and that directly give rise to new individual. And most commonly the bulbils are produced by the plants such as oxalis as well as Allium sativum. So as well as in agave species, the floral buds can modify into bulbils and grow into new plants. So the photograph, so this is oxalis, the next one is the Allium sativum. Here also they are called as bulbils, and particularly in the plant called agave, the floral bud can modify into bulbils and grow into new plants. So this is a agave plant. Now let us move to the next very important type of vegetative propagation, that is by the help of turions. Again, the turions are very unique, mainly produced by the aquatic plants. So these are the special type of fleshy buds that develop in aquatic plants. These are swollen and contains reserve food material, and during the spring it forms a new plant. The example is potamogestone as well as utricularia, and this is a photograph of aquatic plant, that is potamogestone, and this is a photograph of utricularia. So these plants reproduces by the help of a special type of vegetative propagule called as turions. Okay students, now let us move to the MCQs. Some very important questions are given here. You need to answer in between. So now let us move to the first question. The question is, lifespan is defined as. Very simple question. Lifespan. So what are the options? 1. The time period between birth to death. The time period between birth, yes, that is true, to death. Actually one prefix is required, that is not given. Let us see the another option. It may be the right answer also. The process between birth to natural death. Yes, birth is given, natural death is the correct term. So the answer is wrong. The reason is this is not a process. The time period is correct, but that is not given here. The process, the term process is given, so it should be the wrong answer. Let us move to the next option. The time period between birth to natural death. Yes, it may be the right answer. The time period between birth to natural death. Yes, of course it is the right answer. Let us see the fourth option also. The phase of growth is wrong. Phase of growth is particularly known as the juvenile phase. So that will come under the topic sexual reproduction. The phase of organism, mainly the sexually reproducing organism. So the answer should be option C, the time period between birth to natural death. Now the second question. Clones are defined as. Clones are defined as. We know the definition. Before that, let us see the different options. Morphologically and genetically identical individuals, genetically similar individuals produced by sexual method, the individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to the parent, the individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to themselves. Let us see one by one. Morphologically and genetically identical individuals. Is it true? Yes, clones are morphologically and genetically identical individuals. That is right. That is right. But we need better answer. So sometime even during the sexual reproduction, the genetically identical individuals are produced. Identical twins are genetically identical. But we cannot call them as a clones, because clones are generally produced by a sexual method. So that is very important. So here the type of reproduction is not mentioned, so it may not be the right answer. Let us move to the next option. Genetically similar individuals, okay, produced by sexual method. So this is definitely wrong, because during sexual reproduction there is no production of clones. So option B is 100% wrong. A may be the right answer, but that is not the clear answer. Let us move to the next option. The individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to the parent. The individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to the parent. Here type of reproduction is not mentioned, okay, but one very important clue is given, that is the individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to the parent. So always the genetically and morphologically similar individuals which are similar to their parents are produced only during the asexual mode of reproduction. So here individuals are genetically similar to the parent means it should be produced by the asexual method, and that should be the right answer. So before that, let us see the option D also. The individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to themselves. It is exactly similar to the first option. Similar to the first option. So the correct answer to this question should be the third one. That is the individuals that are morphologically and genetically similar to the parents. Now let us move to the question number 3. Unicellular organisms are immortal because, what is meant by immortal? Immortal means no death. Immortal means no death. So let us see the options. Option A. Single-celled organisms like amoeba, bacteria reproduce by cell division and there is no natural death for them. Second option. Single-celled organisms like amoeba and bacteria are not able to reproduce. Third option. The organisms which undergo binary fission rarely die of senescence because as soon as they mature, they divide into two daughters. And the last one, both A and C. Now let us see one by one. Single-celled organisms like amoeba and bacteria, they reproduce by cell division. Yes, of course, in case of bacteria, there is a simple cell division, and in case of amoeba, there is a binary fission, a kind of division, and there is no natural death for them. They will not die of senescence. So that is true. So A will be the right answer. Now we have to move to the next option also, because just see the option D, A and C. So there is a chance for one more answer. So just you can directly go to the option C also. If A is 100% correct, then we can directly go for the option C. See what is given in option C. The organisms which undergo binary fission rarely die of senescence because as soon as they mature, they divide into two daughters. Exactly true. So the statement A is correct as well as C is also correct. Then the answer should be both A and C. So D option is the correct answer to the question number 3. So this is the right answer. Now question number 4. Identify the incorrect statement regarding asexual reproduction. Identify the incorrect statement. So what are the options? It involves the production of asexual spores. Offsprings are genetically similar to parents. Somatic cells are not involved. The rate of reproduction is faster. So already we discussed about the important features of asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction there are different types. One is by producing the asexual spores. So the first statement is correct. First statement is correct with respect to the asexual reproduction. They are asking incorrect statement. What about the option B? Offsprings are genetically similar to parents. Yes, exactly true. If the offsprings are genetically similar to the parents, they are called as clones, and clones are the products of asexual reproduction. Option C. Somatic cells are not involved. This statement is wrong about asexual reproduction because asexual reproduction mainly involves the mitotic division of somatic cells. So definitely the statement C should be the right answer because the rate of reproduction is faster in asexual reproduction. So definitely the answer is option C. Option C. Now the question number 5. Identify the wrong match. So what is given here? So the comparison between zoospores and conidia are given. Zoospores, so in the first column zoospore, in the second column conidia. Zoospores, option A. Zoospores are flagellated. Yes, that is true. Zoospores are flagellated asexual spores and conidia are non-flagellated asexual spores. So the first matching is correct. So they are asking the wrong match. Option B. Zoospores non-motile spores. Is it true? Exactly wrong, because if the zoospores are flagellated, they should be motile spores, and conidia are non-flagellated, that's why they should be non-motile. So here it is given wrongly, so that's why this is a correct answer, because this is a wrong match. So option B itself is the answer. So just move to the option C also. Zoospores are formed inside the sporangium, and that's why they are called as endogenous spores. And conidia are formed at the tip of the conidiophores and hence called exogenous in origin. Zoospores are produced by the algae such as Chlamydomonas, and conidia are produced by the fungi such as Penicillium. So the answer is option B. Now question number 6. This is a characteristic of a population. Characteristic of a population. Option A, birth. Option B, maximum lifespan. And option C, life expectancy. And option D, birth, death and growth. You know, the birth is with respect to an individual. The birth of an individual. If you consider the population, that should be considered as birth rate. So here it is given as birth. So if A is wrong, then definitely D is also wrong. D is also wrong. So the answer should be either B or C. And here the answer is life expectancy. That means the maximum lifespan is also related to the individual or the species. So maximum lifespan is related to the species. Life expectancy is related to the population. Now the question number 7. So this is a photograph of monarch butterfly. Lifespan of migrating monarch butterfly is, whether it is 30 days or 1 to 2 weeks or 12 months or 3 to 7 months. So what is the answer? The answer is 12 months. So the lifespan of migrating monarch butterfly is 12 months. Question number 8. Read the following statements and select the correct option. So simply, as a clue, the diagram is given. It will not be given in the question paper. So this diagram represents the encystation and the sporulation found in amoeba. So the first statement. Under unfavorable condition, the amoeba withdraws its pseudopodia and secretes 3-layered hard covering or cyst around itself. So what you say is about this statement. Under unfavorable condition, the amoeba withdraws its pseudopodia. Pseudopodia is a false feet that is responsible for the locomotion, as well as the pseudopodia is responsible for capturing the prey or engulfment of food. So pseudopodia, false feet, is mainly involved in locomotion and secretes a 3-layered hard covering or cyst around itself. So this statement is correct, and it says about the encystation. And the statement B. When favorable conditions return, the encysted amoeba divides by multiple fission and produces many minute amoebae or pseudopodiospores. The cyst wall bursts out and spores are liberated in the surrounding medium to grow up into many amoebae. Yes, this statement is also correct, and this statement says about the sporulation. So what are the options given here? Among these, option A, B is encystation. Wrong. B is sporulation. A is sporulation. Again, this is also wrong. The next option, A is sporulation. Is it true? No. A is encystation. B is encystation. That is also wrong. Next option, A is encystation. That is correct. And B is sporulation. So the answer should be option D. Now let us move to the question number 9. Conidia are produced by Penicillium, option A, option B, Hydra, option C, sponge, and option D, Solanum. So here is a photograph of potato tuber, Solanum tuberosum, and it reproduces by the help of adventitious birds. So this is wrong. Conidia is not produced by the Solanum. So this is about the gemmules of sponge. So the sponge reproduces by gemmules. Conidia are not produced by them. So the next one, Hydra And you know, Hydra reproduces by the process called as budding. So the answer should be penicillium. And penicillium reproduces by producing the conidia, exogenous spores, non-motile spores. Now, the question number 10. Select the correct option. So what is given here? Statement A. The size of the crow and parrot is almost same. There is no much difference in their size. Okay. But the lifespan is 15 years in crow and 150 years in parrot. So 15 years and 150 years respectively. So definitely this statement is correct. What about the statement B? There is no relationship between the size and lifespan of organism. Is this true? Yes, 100% true. There is no relationship between the size and the lifespan of organism. We can give one more example from the plant kingdom also, that will be given later. So here the statement A is correct but B is wrong. So this option is wrong. Both the statements A and B are wrong. Definitely this option is wrong. Statements option C. Statement A is correct. Okay. Correct example for statement B. Statement A is the correct example for statement B. I think this should be the right answer. Just go to the next option also. Statement A is wrong but B is correct. So this is definitely wrong. So the answer is option C. Now, question number 11. Regeneration is defined as. So what is the definition of regeneration? It is a process in which animal regrows or repairs its lost or damaged body parts. Yes, this statement says about the regeneration process. It is a type of asexual reproduction in plants in which the vegetative parts give rise to new individuals. Normally in plants we are using the term vegetative propagation. Of course, a part of the plant body that give rise to new individual. So normally this is called as vegetative propagation. So what will be the right answer? Option C, both A and B. Both A and B. None of these. The answer to this question is option A. Option A is the right answer to this question. The next, we are moving to the next question number 12. Select the incorrect statement from the following. Option A. Gemmules are internal buds of sponges formed during unfavorable condition. Option B. Obelia reproduces by budding. Option C. Pseudopodospores are produced by amoeba during sexual reproduction. And option D. Asexual reproduction is common in organisms that have relatively simple organization. So, what about the first option? Gemmules are internal buds of sponges formed during unfavorable condition. Is this statement is correct or wrong? So this statement is correct. Then Obelia reproduces by budding. If you don't remember about this, just you can move to the next option. Pseudopodospores are produced by amoeba during sexual reproduction. This is definitely wrong. So they are asking the incorrect statement. So it should be option C. So definitely answer C is the right answer. See, actually you may not know about Obelia because it is not given in the textbook. So even in such case also you can identify the correct answer if you know the remaining options. So answer C is correct for this question. Now, question number 13. Select the correct option. Statement A. A mango tree has a much shorter lifespan as compared to a peepal tree. And statement B. Lifespans of organisms are not necessarily correlated with their sizes. So option A. Statement A is true but B is wrong. Is this correct? So according to this, the statement B is correct. Lifespans of organisms are not necessarily correlated with their sizes. Just now we discussed about this. So this statement is correct. So option A is wrong. Statement A is wrong but B is true. So this is also wrong. Next, both the statements are true. Yes, this option may be the right answer. We have to move to the next option also. Both the statements are true and B is the example for A. So now tell me the right answer. Which will be the right answer? Both the statements are true. Okay. B is the example for A. Is this correct? A is the example for B. Then this option becomes correct. But here it is given as B is the example for A. So that is wrong. So the answer should be option C. Option C is the right answer. Question number 14. The organisms that reproduce only once in their lifetime are known as. The organisms that reproduce only once in their lifetime are known as. Option A, heteroparous organisms. What are heteroparous organisms? These are the organisms produce offsprings in successive cycles that may be annually or seasonally. And normally the perennial plants, most of the animals are example for heteroparous organisms, and such organisms survive over multiple seasons or periodic condition changes. So this is not the right answer. Option B, simulparous organisms. So what are simulparous organisms? Simulparous organisms are the organisms that reproduce only once in their lifetime. So this is a question. So it should be the right answer. And plants, especially all the grain crops, salmon fishes, spiders, bamboos, etc. are the example for this. And they die shortly after reproduction. So definitely the answer should be B. And what about the third option? Continuous breeders. And you know about the continuous breeders. Continuous breeders are the organisms that reproduces throughout their reproductive phase. And seasonal breeders, they are capable of reproducing only during the favorable seasons. So the answer is simulparous organisms. Question number 15. This is true about multiple fission. Option A, the plane of fission runs along the transverse axis. Option B, the plane of fission lies at an angle to the transverse axis. Euglena verticilla are the example. And option D, after the mitosis of nucleus, each nucleus gathers a small amount of cytoplasm around it, and the mother individual splits into many tiny daughter cells. So here the statement A, this is true about the transverse binary fission. An example for this transverse binary fission includes paramecium, diatoms and bacteria. What about the statement B? It represents the oblique binary fission, and example for this Serracium as well as Gonialex. So this is also not correct. Option C, Euglena verticilla are the examples for longitudinal binary fission, not for multiple fission. So here the plane of division phase passes along the longitudinal axis of the animal or organisms. An example as given here, Euglena as well as verticilla. So the answer should be option D. And example for multiple fission includes amoeba, plasmodium, monocystis, etc. So the answer is option D to the question number 15. Now question number 16. This is true about terror of Bengal. So what is true about terror of Bengal? Let us see the options. This is nothing but aquatic plant water hyacinth. So here A is given, capital letter A. So that means it consists many number of statements. So let us see the statements first. It is one of the most invasive weeds found growing wherever there is a standing water. Both the statements are correct. Statement C, it drains carbon dioxide from the water, which leads to the death of fishes. Is this true? It drains carbon dioxide. No, this is wrong. So statement C is wrong. What about the statement D? This plant was introduced in India because of its beautiful flowers and shape of the leaves. Yes, definitely the statement D is correct. So A, B and C. This is true about terror of Bengal. Whether the C is correct? No, then it should not be the right answer. Option B, A, B and D. Yes, here C is not given. So then it should be the right answer. The other options include A, B, C and D. Definitely wrong. A only, that is also wrong. So the answer is option B. Now the question number 17. It is very difficult to get rid of water hyacinth from water body because. So what is the options? What are the options given here? Option A, It cannot spread all over the water body in a short period of time. Is it true? It is very difficult to get rid of water hyacinth from water body because it can spread all over the water body in a short period of time. So definitely A is wrong. Then statement B. It can propagate at a phenomenal rate and take several years to spread all over the water body. No, it will not take several years. Within a short period of time, it can spread. So B is also wrong. It can propagate vegetatively at a phenomenal rate and spread all over the water body in a short period of time. I think this should be the right answer. Just move to the next option also. It can propagate sexually at a phenomenal rate. Definitely wrong. It reproduces by vegetative propagation method. So the answer should be option C. Now the question number 18. In bryophyllum, vegetative reproduction takes place by binary fission, by producing zoospores. The adventitious buds or epiphyllous buds arise from the notches present at the margin of leaves, grow into independent plants by fragmentation. Bryophyllum reproduces by the help of a leaf, and the leaf margin consists of adventitious buds. On detachment, such adventitious buds develop into new individuals. And definitely binary fission is absent. Binary fission, zoospores are produced by the lower organisms, found in the lower organisms. And fragmentation is found in some plants but not in bryophyllum. So the answer is option C is the right answer to the question number 18. Now question number 19. So what about the question number 19? So in these plants, taproot branches can develop adventitious buds and form new plants. Option given. First one, sweet potato, Dahlia asparagus. Option B, onion, garlic, narcissus. Option C, coriander, centella oxalis. And option D, guava, populus, and dalbergia. See, in sweet potato, Dahlia as well as asparagus, adventitious roots are involved as a vegetative propagator. So statement A or option A is wrong about this. Onion, garlic and narcissus reproduces by the help of bulb. So that is also wrong. That is the stem modification. That is also wrong. And C, coriander, centella oxalis. Again, in coriander, centella oxalis, the modified stem is responsible for vegetative propagation. But here the question says taproot branches can develop into adventitious buds and form new plants. So definitely this is found in the plants such as guava, populus and dalbergia. So the option D is the right answer to the question number 19. Now let us move to the next question. Question number 20. This is true about begonia. This plant reproduces by turions. Is this correct? Next one. In these plants, fleshy floral buds called bulbils are involved in the vegetative propagation. Statement C. In these plants, injured leaves form new plants when they come in contact with the soil. The last one. Marginal buds leaves form plantlets while they still attach to the parental plant body. Statement D is correct about bryophyllum. Statement A is true about some hydrophytes, potamogeton example. In these plants, fleshy floral buds called bulbils, most commonly this is found in the agave. So the answer should be option C. So option C is the right answer to the question number 20. So question number 20, the right answer is option C. Now, question number 21. What is the correct sequence for binary fission in amoeba? What is the correct sequence for binary fission in amoeba? Division of nucleus followed by division of cytoplasm gives two daughter cells. Option A. Option B. Division of cytoplasm, division of nucleus, two daughter cells. Division of nucleus, two daughter nuclei, two multinucleated cells. And option D, division of cytoplasm, two daughter cells, division of nuclei. Definitely D is wrong. And option C, 2 multinucleated cells, that is also wrong. What about option B, division of cytoplasm, then division of nucleus? No chance. So the answer is option A. Option A is the right answer to the question number 21. Question number 22. The organism or the parental cell divides into two to give rise to new individual in case of Hydra, protists and monerans, algae and fungi, cnidarians and sponges. So what is the answer? The organism or parental cell divides into two, give rise to new individual in case of division. And most commonly, the simple cell division is found in the members of Protista as well as monerans. In Hydra, commonly the budding, algae and fungi, the spore formation, and in sponges also, the gemule formation is found. So the answer is option B is the right answer. Question number 23. In amoeba, many minute pseudopodiospores are produced by budding, wrong, gamete formation, no way, binary fission, and multiple fission. The answer is multiple fission. Now, the question number 24. Which of the following sentence is correct? Asexual reproduction is common among single-celled organisms and ctenophores. Is this correct? Asexual reproduction is common among single-celled organisms. That may be right, but in ctenophores there is a sexual reproduction. Cell division itself is a mode of reproduction in case of animals and plants. Is this correct? This statement is not correct, because in all the animals, cell division is not the mode of reproduction. There are different methods of reproduction in animals. Paramecium shows binary fission. Which of the following statement is correct? Paramecium shows binary fission. Yes, binary fission is found in paramecium, that is true. Then what about D? Many minute zoospores are formed in sponges. No. So the answer is option C is the right answer to the question number 24. Now let us move to the last question. Which among the below statements is correct? Statement A. Water hyacinth grows in standing water, drains oxygen from water that leads to the death of the fishes. Yes, this is the correct statement. Statement B. In potato, the plantlets arise from the internodes present in the modified stem. In potato, the plantlets arise from the internodes present in the modified stem. What about this? Whether it is only A is correct, or only B is correct, or both A and B are correct, or both are incorrect. So what is the answer? The answer is only A is correct, and in potato, the plantlets arise from the adventitious buds. So the answer is option A. Okay, students. So in this video, we discussed about the asexual mode of reproduction as well as vegetative propagation in plants. In the next video, we will study about the remaining portion from this chapter. Thank you.